Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into what's got to be one of the most exciting frontiers in artificial intelligence, Agentic AI. This is where AI stops just, answering our questions and actually starts doing things for us. It's moving from being just a tool to becoming a real partner.
So, here's our game plan. First, we're going to get the main idea using a simple to-do list analogy. Then, we'll see why this is so much more than your average chatbot. After that, we'll peek under the hood to see how these agents think, check out where they're already popping up in the real world, and finally, we'll look at where all this is headed.
All right, let's kick things off with the big idea here. What does it actually mean for an AI to have agency? Well, it's a huge shift from just knowing stuff to actively, getting things done.
For years, we've all gotten used to AI that can answer our questions, or maybe generate some text and images. And don't get me wrong, that's amazing. But it's also kind of passive. Agentic AI, on the other hand, is proactive. It doesn't just sit there waiting for your next command. It actively pursues a goal. Okay, to really get this, it helps to think of a few key ingredients. At the very center, you have a large language model, or LLM. That's the brain that does all the reasoning. Now, that brain gets fed up-to-date, relevant facts using a process called retrieval-augmented generation, or RAG. But the agent is the secret sauce. It's the decision maker that takes the brain's smarts and all that fresh info and says, okay, now let's go do something with it.
So, you see, the agent isn't just sitting there processing info. It's an active doer. You give it a high-level goal, like plan a trip to Italy, and it figures out the to-do list, thinks through all the steps, and then actually acts to check those items off, all by itself.
And that really brings us to a nice, clean definition. Agentic AI is all about agency. That's the power to act on its own. You hand it a complicated goal, and it has the autonomy to figure out all the little steps and get them done, without you having to constantly look over its shoulder.
Okay, so if these agents have all this autonomy, you might be thinking, how is that any different from the AI assistants or chatbots we use every single day? Well, the distinction is, it's huge.
And that is the key question, right? Because on the surface, they might look kind of similar. But the leap from a simple reactive chatbot to a proactive agent is just massive. It really is the difference between being reactive and being proactive.
Think about it. Your typical chatbot, it's totally reactive. It waits for you to type something, and then it gives a single, direct answer based on its programming. It's a one-and-done kind of interaction. It can't break a big problem down into smaller steps, and it can't learn from what happened.
And this table here, it really drives home that massive shift. We are moving from a traditional AI that's just task-driven, following these rigid if-this, then-that rules, to an agentic AI that is goal-driven and can adapt on the fly. A traditional AI is static. It's stuck with the data it was trained on. But an agent, it learns continuously. And maybe the most important part, it isn't stuck in a box. It can actually interact with the outside world using tools called APIs, which let it connect to other websites and software.
So, how in the world do these agents actually, think? Let's pop the hood and see what makes them tick, what gives them this incredible autonomy. All right, so the first thing to know is that an agent isn't just one piece of tech, it's a whole system working together. You've got the LLM, which is the reasoning brain. Then it has memory, both short-term for what it's doing right now, and long-term so it can learn and get better over time. And finally, it has a toolkit. This lets it use APIs to browse the web or use other apps, which are like its hands for getting things done in the digital world. And all these parts, they work together in this really cool continuous loop. The agent perceives the world around it, it reasons about what it should do next, it takes an action, and then, and this is the magic part, it learns from the outcome of that action, so it can make even better decisions next time. It's a cycle of constant improvement.
Okay, this all sounds pretty cool in theory, but it's not just science fiction. This stuff is already out there in the real world. So where are we seeing it? Yeah, we're already seeing these agentic systems taking on really complex, multi-step jobs. In customer support, they can do way more than just answer a question. They can spot a system-wide problem and automatically create a high-priority ticket for engineers. In supply chains, they can predict a shortage is coming and automatically reorder inventory. They're basically becoming true digital coworkers.
And what's really mind-blowing is that it's often not just a single agent working alone. You got to think of it more like a team of digital specialists. You could have a researcher agent that scours the internet, a data analyst agent that crunches the numbers, and then a writer agent that puts all the findings into a perfect report. When they work together, they can achieve things far beyond what any one model ever could.
So, what's next? Where is all this heading? And what are the big roadblocks we still have to figure out to get there?
60%. Just let that number sink in for a second. 60%.
Because, get this, according to the industry analysts at Gartner, that's the percentage of big companies they expect will be using AI agents in their core operations by 2026. That's not a slow trickle, my friends. That is a wave of adoption that is coming incredibly fast.
But, and this is a big but, giving AI this much power and autonomy, it definitely comes with some serious challenges. There's the alignment problem. How do we make absolutely sure an agent's goals are truly lined up with our own? Then there's the risk of unintended consequences. You know, the AI following instructions a little too literally. And of course, there are huge ethical and legal questions, like who's responsible when a fully autonomous system messes up?
And all of this really leaves us with one massive question to chew on. As AI makes this jump from just answering our questions to actually acting for us, we have to decide, what goals are we truly going to trust it with? The answer to that question is going to define not just the future of AI, but the future of how all of us work and live.